Hello there, Ronnie. How are you?
Hello. Hi, Janet.
Hello. Nice seeing you again.
It's nice seeing you again. You're more colorful.
So, congratulations for being part of this another classic Pixar movie, Elemental. Can you tell us how you got the role of Bernie Lumen?
Well, I got the role because I was hanging out in the studio with Pete Song because we're friends and we help each other on each other's movies. Pete would do scratch voices, that's temporary voices on our reels when we're making that. And we love him because he's so fun and funny and he's a really great actor himself. And in turn, when he needs anyone's help, like if he asks me, "Hey Ronnie, can you do scratch voice for me?" Sure. Can you do the voice of the dad on the movie that I'm developing? Sure. You want? And then he kept asking me to do the voice. And then he tells me, "Ronnie, I really like your voice as Bernie." I'm thinking, Pete, you do what your best choices are for the movie. I can do whatever, and you don't have to cast me in it. But I really want you to be the voice of Bernie. It's like, knock yourself out. And then one day they call me and says, "Ronnie, you got the role." I wasn't really expecting it because I know that, they have so many people that they could choose, but that is fantastic that they chose me.
Yeah, but did you base it about another person that you knew? Was it based on somebody you knew?
No, no, Pete would only direct me to kind of like be myself because I'm a dad and I have a daughter. We've been talking for so long about each other and our lives, and I tended to become like, that dad voice to him, I guess. And because I also have a daughter, it almost felt like, well, you're kind of tailor made for this role. So I didn't have to prepare anything. He just told me it's like channel the life of Bernie and Bernie having a daughter and Bernie having issues with what his daughter is trying to do. That's all it was.
Yeah. So how much do you relate to the character aside from you being a dad and you having a daughter as well?
Well, I can relate to Bernie because he's also an immigrant. Me being an immigrant, I grew up in the Philippines and we migrated here, hoping for a better life and taking our chances. There's a lot of uncertainty, but we've been lucky. But we tend to want to keep a lot of our own ways and traditions alive. And of course, we have our ways that doesn't quite match up to the culture of where we've migrated to. And sometimes, we don't know how to change very easily. So, but I can relate plenty to what Bernie's going through.
Mhm. So how was it working with Leah Lewis?
Well, when you're making animated feature voices, I don't get to see anybody. I go into a recording booth, or during the pandemic, it was in the spare bedroom upstairs, and I don't know how other people sound other than when they show me little sequences. Oh, that's who I was talking to. Oh no, that's how that sounds. So it's all pieced together. And I wish that there was a way that all the actors can kind of react to each other. It's much easier, and it keeps it more alive.
So you were a co-director of Inside Out and story supervisor of Up. What kind of challenges did you encounter being a voice actor compared to being a director and a story supervisor?
Well, it's a different gear because I'm used to directing people. I'm gonna sit on the table and tell them what I'm looking for, and I'm listening for the right line delivery, and I don't have to worry about the energy it takes to actually say these lines. And it takes a lot of energy. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're in front of the mic and you're having to actually do these lines over and over again, and some of them are very, very forceful lines. Some of them are emotional lines, and you have to kind of bring yourself into that emotional context, and it takes a lot of effort. And so sometimes you ask, you raise your hands like, "I need a break because I'm about to pass out."
Yeah. You are also known for your emotional storylines, Ronnie. So, what
Yeah.
kind of mindset were you when you were doing the Bernie Lumen story?
Well, for the most part, it was about being a dad. So I had to channel a lot of my own relationship with my own daughter. And then there were some emotional scenes that I've done where Bernie has to break down because he's revealing what has been challenging for him emotionally with his own father and his challenges of his expectation for his daughter. And there are moments wherein I have to cry and all that. So it took a lot of preparation to kind of dig in to what I remember, what the context of my own life, my own father, and my own relationship with my daughter. So that's kind of the method that I use. And I just have Pete to tell me if I need to do 2 more times, 10 more times, and I let him choose which one is good.
So, if you were given a choice to either do an voice actor or be a director, a story supervisor, or animator, what would have you chosen?
I like this role as director storyteller. Because being a writer director, I get to choose what happens, and I also get to choose how it happens, how much of it to show. It's very gratifying to kind of imagine worlds and situations and characters and make them go the way you want to. I loved all those other jobs as well, but being a writer director to me is kind of a grand fulfillment of chasing a vision and making it real.
And Elemental was chosen in Cannes to close the film festival before its release in June 16. And it's also the fourth Pixar film to be selected for Cannes, while the others were Up, Inside Out, and Soul. Why do you think it is important to showcase a film at Cannes?
Well, I think that it's very important because it's kind of like a gateway to the world. I mean, us here in North America, we feel like somehow you almost feel like you're the center of the universe, but it isn't, right? There are other centers of cinema in the world that need to have their moment, and Cannes is a great kind of gateway and portal to the rest of the world. And I've been to Cannes for Inside Out, and it was magnificent to see audiences receive it with open arms, and that means it speaks to the universality of the movie that you brought there. That audiences from other parts of the world can experience it, feel emotions that you had crafted so long and so well that you're almost like hoping that I hope it works the same way that it works for me. And that's why it's important because movies are supposed to be for all peoples in all the world.
Mhm. And so, after the standing ovation that Peterson received at Cannes, he's mentioned that my heart is about to explode. This film has been about the richness of diversity. Our lives are better when there are different points of view. Why do you think diversity is important to be seen in films and television?
Well, I feel that mission very, very, potently in my own world as a storyteller because I think that when we see another human being's way of life, more human beings of diverse situations, their stories, we get to have empathy for their stories, but also we get to see how much we're really all alike. And our world is always very challenging in many, many ways. And I think that it can only help if we see each other for how we are alike as opposed to how we are different. And this movie, Elemental, shows it in a very colorful way that diversity and getting along with everybody in the world is something to celebrate. It actually makes our lives more beautiful and more happy.
Mhm. What do you think would be the gems of wisdom that audiences will get out of watching Elemental?
Well, I think it's part of that thing that Pete Sohn mentioned. I think that our initial shyness or hesitance to actually look into someone else's way of life is understandable. But I think that when we brave it, when we look in, when we actually reach out to understand each other, in spite of what seemingly is our difference, I think our lives become richer and not only fuller. and that it actually makes the world a better place if we do that. And I know it takes a lot of courage and work, but the reward, the joy, the harmony that we could stand to actually have if we do that is so much worth it. So I hope that this message is something that people take away with when they watch the movie.
Mhm. And what are you busy with these days?
Well, I'm personally, I'm actually pursuing stories that are very meaningful to me. I'm developing as many stories as I can. There are stories about my own upbringing, where I come from, things that I'm fascinated with. At this stage in my career, I would love to only work on movies that I choose to do, the things that I want to nurture and develop. And that's what's keeping me busy. And it's actually been very, very gratifying finally to be able to actually focus on the stories that matter to me.
Mhm. And when was the last time you were in the Philippines, and when are you going back?
I was just in the Philippines. I came back January this year, celebrated the holidays
Mhm.
there. Can't stay away.
Mhm.
If I had it, if I could actually manage it, I would be in the Philippines at least twice a year if I can.
And your dream project?
Well, my dream project is to be able to make any one of these stories I'm developing into movies that people can watch someday. That is my dream project.
Mhm. More power to you, Ronnie, and hope to see you in person one of these days. Thank you very much for this
Absolutely.
interview.
Thank you, Janet. This is a blast.